Ta da da dee da dum ba da da dee da dum ba da da dee ba dum boom beam ba da ba. I know that this video it's by Moon, okay? I know that this topic is a bit heavier, and I don't want to make you guys sad. So, this was in the React video suggestions, and thus I have pulled it up. However, if you do not want to watch this because it's gonna make you sad, please let me know, and we will... I'm already sad, let's do this. Okay. Ready? We're watching this video. Men are slowly giving up and nobody cares. I care though, I care.
Giving up on relationships, careers, and society as a whole. Resentment is growing, unemployment is becoming rampant, and keeping your head above water seems almost impossible for many men today. This is leading to more men than ever dropping out of society entirely. And it's not just that, men are becoming infantilized. With terms like adulting now becoming normal, it's clear that something ugly is happening that needs to be addressed. We live in such a
Wait. Infantilized.
Entirely. And it's not just that, men are becoming
treating grown men like children. Exploring how women infantilize their partners in the male collective. Oh. Well, what if they want to be treated like children? What if some people maybe some people like that. I feel like maybe, I could be wrong. But I feel like sometimes some people who had some trauma in their childhood, they actually appreciate getting infantilized in adults. Not speaking from experience or anything. But I personally love being babied. I mean, I don't mind. And like maybe some guys feel the same way. You know? Maybe some guys feel the same way. I guess it depends. Case by case basis, probably. I don't mind. Yeah, you can baby me. Not like that though. Not like babied like that, but like, Nina, you okay? Nina, you okay? Yes, I'm sad. Anyway, chat.
With terms like adulting
it's probably
now
different.
becoming normal,
it's probably different. I mean, I don't know why it's talking about men, not women. Okay, that's my experience. Oh, look. Look, this fuzz has created a heart. Do you know what that means? Chat, this is a positive omen, okay? How is it? How could it be that we have paused exactly at the right time that there is a heart on the screen? It means something. It's a positive omen. It's a positive omen. We're gonna be okay. It could be a butt. It could be titties as well. But it's a heart, okay? And that means love. I don't see it. It's a fluffy heart!
Something ugly is happening that needs to be addressed. We live in such a strained, unnatural environment that is bound to start to wear on society. But men in particular are battling to keep up and are slowly giving up. Giving up on dreams, giving up on trying, and giving up on doing anything constructive. And for a large part, it's really not their fault. As this trend isn't just a personal struggle, but a societal issue that we must urgently address. So why is this happening? And why has it gotten so bad in 2024? On the surface, it's a long and complicated story. Life has never been simple for any human, and objectively speaking, for men in the West today, it's never been better. We have all the technology we need, food delivered to your door with the tap of a finger.
Can I have a theory? Can I make a theory on why it's gotten worse in 2024? I have a theory. And I could be wrong. But my theory is that nowadays, not only is it 2024 is obviously after COVID, and a lot of people's lives changed after COVID for the worse, and a lot of people's changed for the better. But I think definitely after COVID, there's been like a huge raise in like isolation. And the other thing is that I feel like with access to social media and stuff these days, it's really easy to just compare your life and see like people on Instagram and stuff, their lives are definitely not perfect, but it's hard to believe that when it looks perfect. And I think, you know, comparison is the thief of happiness and all that jazz. I think like definitely that's why in 2024 especially, and also I think that probably men these days are more vocal which is a good thing. They're more vocal about their struggles, whereas, mayhaps a few years ago or back in the day, it was not as normalized to be vocal about your struggles. So that's why I think that it's probably not just a 2024 thing. It's just that it's a bit more normalized these days, and which is good. But hey, I could be wrong. I have to say I could be wrong after anything in case I'm wrong. But that's just my theory.
Dating readily available to anyone with a simple swipe. Any products, items, or experiences
Wait, that's not what I said! He's literally saying, I think, right? Talking about social media, right?
Want can be had with the tap of your phone. But over time, all of these comforts of life destroys the importance and necessity of struggle, without any value placed on higher goals. Where there just is no reason to care, means there's no reason for people to properly live or have the will to achieve greatness. Which is probably why 40% of young men aged 18 to 45 meet the criteria for depression, and 49% of 18 to 23-year-olds have had a thought of passing themselves in the past 2 weeks alone. And we're seeing the symptoms of this problem everywhere. The sapping away of our vision and ambition permeates in all aspects of modern society today.
I mean, it's hard to be ambitious, man. It's hard to be ambitious because nowadays, like, it's hard to get hired. Nepotism it's huge in the job market. It's like bigger than it's ever been before. And it's difficult. People get hired over you even though you might have more experience or your resume might be better. They get hired over you because like they have connections in the company, and it's just difficult. It's hard finding a job. It's hard keeping a job because there's just so quick to get rid of you. Like, I've heard of people that people getting fired just to hire new people who they can pay them less. It's just a bit sad. Yeah. I mean, how can you be ambitious when like also AI replacing a lot of jobs? It's tough. Like, maybe your dream is to be a software engineer and you're like getting replaced. That's not nice, is it? Hey, Shrut! Thank you so much. Thank you for 7 months. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, I could be wrong, though.
Today, our culture, architecture, relationships, bodies, and minds. Past civilizations before us have always placed their emphasis on beauty, wisdom, and logic for all the population to see, with great town squares, bustling with art, life, and community. These things were placed above all else as the bedrock of their societies, laying out a code of honor and struggle in its people to achieve greatness. Comforts were shown in art and culture, but as an aspiration for achieving something great, for following your mastery. But today our cities are mostly devoid of all of this character, and instead they're marked out by the most cost-efficient, bland, and sterile designs to facilitate a simpler, self-motivated purpose. It's why people flock all over the world to a handful of remaining cities that retain their centuries-old charm to feel and experience the character of bygone societies that were motivated by higher ideals. Ideals greater than our modern two-dimensional ways of thinking. With a prioritization of comfort, lust and opulence, and flashy materialism over individual excellence and greater community, we're now reeling in the aftermath, becoming instead a generation of mandated mediocrity.
I just said AI. Sometimes I feel a little bit smart. This is one of those times. Maybe I was on the right track with some of my theories there.
And does this explain why men today seem to struggle more than ever while seemingly having more than ever? America in particular is not actually in a recession. In fact, on paper, the economy looks like the best it's been in a while. Unemployment has dropped, GDP is up, but what the people are actually experiencing is a complete...
We don't mention that genius test! We don't mention that genius test, okay? That was maybe a bit of a disaster.
Completely different story. We can see this in a study by the University of Michigan on consumer sentiments, which gathers data based on how consumers feel about the current state of finances. In 2022, it dropped to an all-time low.
Oof.
Prices of our average daily needs like gas and food have increased in unbearable percentages. In contrast, salary increases do not match, putting a high strain on budget.
I think I was looking at a graph that showed the increase in like the housing market versus minimum wage, and they don't match at all. Like, how is minimum wage not increasing to match the increase of the housing market inflation? Man, bruh.
Inflation is showing no signs of slowing down as Americans pay over $1,000 a month more on the same essentials we were buying 3 years ago. Nothing's changed but price. The latest consumer price index for March showing basic necessities like our food, housing, and gas.
22.2%. That's a massive increase, chat. For car insurance, and now people are not even going to be able to drive. Cars were already expensive, but bruh, paying $1,000 more a month for necessities. Jesus, insane.
Are all continuing to cripple Americans' wallets with higher prices.
Our wages are actually down against inflation since Biden took office. So not only are prices soaring, but our wages, at least if you measure hourly wages, are not keeping up at all.
Keeping your head above water has become the new normal instead of owning a home with a white picket fence.
What
The
a
rich are
camera
becoming
he had.
richer and the poor are becoming poorer, with the middle class disintegrating completely. All the knowledge of the past of just going to college, getting a job, and buying a home immediately is just completely irrelevant for anyone working and living in 2024. Universities have skyrocketed in prices to absurd levels.
Yeah. Going to fluffing school is expensive as well. They put you in so much student debt that by the time you graduate, you can't even find a job, and then you're just stuck with your debt that increases all the time. Bruh.
The housing market is in a complete giant bubble. Everyone's sending out job applications more and more, all while using these automated testing systems, applying up to 100 jobs a day and still not getting anywhere. All the while major companies repeatedly tell us that they can't find any workers for their companies. And the results of this are clear. People are drifting towards more unfulfilling jobs, or just not even having a job at all, while the rich buy up resources, real estate, and everything that used to be the cornerstones of the middle class, that is now just an investment hidden through an offshore bank account for some giant investment fund.
Basically, what they want to do is create a nation of renters. BlackRock coming in and giving them more money than the house is worth.
How much more do they give them?
They can give them, 30% above.
Really?
Which is money.
And then they just lease those homes out.
And they lease them out. It's part of this idea that home ownership and automobile ownership and all of these things, these legacy systems that people want to get rid of. And they go, rent a house, use Uber, Lyft, whatever. You don't need to own. What does owning do for you? That's that famous article, you'll own nothing and be happy.
Right.
And because of this, all saving plans for regular people are halted because living paycheck to paycheck means there just isn't enough for a savings plan. And whilst there is still some hope to dig your way out, for most this does begin a damaged path. People end up working in a job that's not in their field, something that they hate to do every day, and eliminates the experience they need for the job in their field.
Yeah,
and so
that's the worst part of it. And then the thing that is really infuriating are places that are like, we're looking for an unpaid intern, but you need experience? Huh? What? To be an unpaid goddamn intern, you want what? It's crazy. It's crazy. And then you do have to take a few gap years and go do something else, and then you get punished for having gap years in your resume. It's really difficult. You can't do anything right these days, honestly. Like, the job market is fluffed. The
experience they are getting is just completely useless for getting back on track. In effect, their now entry-level position is further deviating them from becoming lawyers, psychologists, or whichever career path they studied for. And if the middle class is experiencing this, then the lower earners are feeling this even more. The jobs they once had a chance of landing now go to the middle class, while they get hit a bump lower, which is putting millions of people in dire straits. They face working twice as hard for minimum wage, juggling between jobs, partaking in the gig economy with absolutely no security, all with an extreme pressure to keep up with daily.
You can actually get rejected from jobs for having too much qualification as well. So imagine you're not getting hired at your dream job because you don't have enough, and then you're getting rejected at a backup job because you're too overqualified for that. Yeah.
Expenses in a completely overpriced megacity. And the truth is, both middle and lower earners are now taking a huge hit to their egos. They feel disrespected through no fault of their own, as no man wants to feel like a failure. They don't want to feel like they're not providing or on their destiny.
True.
Imagine putting in the hours and effort to get a degree and then having to take a job that's not even within the field you studied for. Well, this is just
Yeah, absolutely. It can make you feel so demotivated. Being like, you spent, how many years is it for a bachelor's degree? Like 4 years. And master's degrees, what is that, 6? I don't know, chat, but like, imagine spending that much time in school only to graduate, go so much in debt, and not even be able to get a job. It sucks. Because then you're like, why did I waste all of these years of my life? You do start to doom a little bit.
regular life for most people nowadays. It's making men feel incredibly depressed and isolated. They watch all this stuff on social media, they see people flexing the Rolexes on their Instagram stories. Meanwhile, they're struggling to survive, living a life they absolutely hate.
That's
and when
true.
friends and family are—
I have to admit, I'm also a victim of this sometimes. When you hear people being like, or you see them taking vacations every other week and traveling all the time and buying things all the time, it's hard. Although comparison is the thief of happiness. Like, sometimes it's hard not to compare, being like, man, I'm the same age as them, or I'm younger than them, or I'm so close to their age, and they're doing so much better in life than I am. It does suck, chat. It does. I can totally understand.
Ask about it, they suffered the humiliation of explaining why they had to take what was available. Even though it isn't humiliating at all, and they're doing what they can to survive, it definitely takes a huge effect on their mental health. Especially as it wasn't that long ago, where it was actually normal to enter the workforce with a mentor who would show you the ropes and encourage you and push you to learn more. Starting at the bottom didn't seem so bad because there was an opportunity to grow and reap more rewards, but this imperative step is slowly slipping away. Companies of prestige have forgotten the generation with no experience, and for many companies, this is what they want.
This pisses me off! Why inexperienced workers can't get entry-level jobs? Seriously, why do you require 5 years of experience for an entry fucking level job? Why are you labeling it as entry level? And everyone is like this. How? If everyone requires experience for entry level, then how are you ever going to get experience at an entry level? What do you have to do? Do you have to go like shine their shoes in order to have a chance at nepotism into that company? Oh, it blows my mind.
This is actually the ideal scenario, where they have people so desperate, so in need of experience, that they can treat their workers like absolute trash.
You
Since
lie?
the 1980s, testosterone levels have dropped more than 50%.
I don't know, chat. I'm a firm believer that lies catch up to you in one way or another. So I'm really strict about not lying about anything, because I feel like it finds you and then it's worse.
And yet we're
What
taught
other
to ignore
choice you
it.
got?
Why?
Yeah, you're
Because
right,
there's a
though,
coordinated
you're right.
effort to suppress masculinity and turn men into something they were never meant to be. This decline is no accident. We're constantly exposed to harmful chemicals in our food and everyday products, bombarded with estrogenic chemicals from plastics, junk food, and sedentary lifestyles, which is why testosterone levels have been declining for decades, with a 17% drop among 60-year-olds in 2004 compared to 1987. Sperm counts and strength in men are also increasing exponentially, with a 32.5% decrease in mean sperm concentration in the last 50 years. But here's the good news, there are ways to fight back, and one of the most effective solutions that I found is our sponsor Black Forest's testosterone with Tonkat Ali.
Can I say that this is kind of predatory? This is kind of predatory. People are watching this like genuinely like, I need help. And then he's like, oh, by the way, here's our sponsor. What is this? Boost your testosterone levels. Hey, the problem is not your depression, man. Your testosterone is low, okay? Stop getting infantilized. Take this testosterone pill. Bruh, this is weird. This is kind of shameless.
This supplement is packed with two of the most powerful natural testosterone boosters available. Testosterone.
Oh, men are slowly giving up and nobody cares. Don't get infantilized. Oh, by the way, what can help you? Raise your testosterone levels. Bruh.
Is a natural anabolic compound that helps increase muscle growth, boost recovery, and support higher testosterone levels. Tonkat Ali, used for centuries, helps raise testosterone, reduce stress, and improve overall vitality. I've been using Black Forest's testosterone and Tonkat Ali, and I've noticed a huge improvement in my energy, strength, and focus. It's like getting back the edge that modern life is just draining away. Right now, Black Forest is offering a buy two, get one free deal on this limited edition product, and once it's gone for good. I can personally vouch for its effectiveness. It's had a huge difference in my energy levels, strength, sleep, and overall well-being. And by supporting our sponsors, you also support us directly. So hurry and take advantage of this amazing alongside this amazing brand using the link in the description below. The cost of having a job also plays a part in stripping them of their dignity. Transport costs to their job, depending on the amount, could take a huge chunk of their salary, so that at the end of the day, they can only pay for rent or food and not both. A government grant could replace their salaries, and they earn more or less the same amount.
What's also helping to pay the bills
true. Working out
is,
really
as
good
I said,
for you. It is.
the US government.
Is this man AI? The man on the left? Why is he looking like AI? Is he a real guy?
In particular,
He looks kind of fake, doesn't he?
disability programs for people who are unable to work.
Why does he look so ethereal?
Those programs seem to have morphed away from their original humane intention.
Sorry for the rant,
and
but this
now
is making me so mad.
I'm just kidding, don't actually get it, okay? I don't think it could help. But...
for several millions, for millions and millions of these guys.
If a job doesn't support your basic needs of a home, food and transport, it wears thin in justifying the effort for this job, especially if you're not getting any experience. And in most cases, if you go into the gig economy, absolutely no security either.
Yeah!
There's even
fluffing lack of job security where they're like, we'll give you like a temporary contract with like potential to become permanent. And then it never happens and never becomes permanent because you know why? The second they make it permanent is when they have to like increase your pay. Of course they're gonna go to the next person with like cheap pay.
a new term called quietly quitting, where you do the bare minimum of your job to the point that you're almost rendered useless and you get fired or simply quit. The fact that this term even exists shows that attention is desperately needed to solve this problem. And while this is happening, it's becoming more and more common for both partners in a household to be living the same life. Or even
young men embrace gender equality, but they still don't vacuum. I mean, what does vacuuming have to do with gender? I don't like vacuuming either, chat. Bruh, I have to force myself to vacuum. Dude, what? Who? This is weird.
With most males' partners actually
maybe if they took the testosterone
whilst this
pill.
isn't necessarily a problem at all, it is leading to some weird modern problems in the household. Men with families are actually switching their roles with their wives, except they're not actually doing what their wives would do if they were to stay at home.
When you look at what I guess in Britain is called Neet, N-E-E-T, do you say that also in Australia? Neither employed nor in education or training.
Oh,
you look at that huge group of well
Neet.
over 6 million.
Have you heard of such a thing? The term Neet? Yes. Do they use such a term there in Australia?
Prime age men. The story they're telling about their lives is really pretty devastating. It's pretty distressing. They basically don't do civil society. There's almost no worship, almost no volunteering, almost no charitable work. They've got a lot of time on their hands, but they report doing strangely little help around the home or help with other people at home.
Because the situation.
I mean, isn't that what happens when you're depressed? Like, why are we shocked? It's literally depression. Hello? Did we forget that depression is a thing?
Some men may feel a sense of worthlessness and resentment. Some men might take an hour to clean up the house and fetch the kids.
Wait a damn minute! Wait a damn minute! Okay, listen. If this is how people are vacuuming, okay? I know this is not a vacuum, but if this is how they're cleaning their floors, I sure as hell won't be doing it either. What the? Feet! No, yeah, no wonder. Listen, give the poor man something else. He's doing it. This is better than I could ever sweep. Look how pristine it is back there. Every time I sweep, there's dust trails.
The kids, but the rest of the day, they sleep or play games. In some cases, the wives work and then come home to finish the chores their husbands were meant to do but didn't. And whilst this might cause huge marriage problems, it still feels better off to the husbands. If asked what they do for a living, saying they're on a break or working on a project beats the humiliation of saying they work in McDonald's with a useless degree on their back. Men without families have nothing to lose, so they stop working because no woman would even want them anyway. They can't afford to.
So sad. That mindset is not nice, is it? Oh, via Indeed. Indeed is ass. Indeed is so ass. It really is all about the nepotism. You have to know people who know people who know people who know people. Because Indeed is so garbage.
Voluntary. After that you must get paid, however, in order to avoid that they just fire me afterwards and just use me for free labor. That is why I have given up.
Bruh. You know, I would give up too. I hope you guys know that your feelings are so valid. Because it's just not nice. It's not nice, and it's demotivating, for sure. Absolutely.
They can't afford a family, and since their own families are supportive, it somehow justifies them giving up and staying at home, rather than facing these societal problems head on, with prices rising, getting hired becoming harder and harder by the day.
And I think a lot of that has to probably do as well with like the mindset that men have to be the primary, what's the word? English, the primary bringers, is that the word? How do you know what I mean? The primary bringers of the, yeah, money makers, breadwinner, yeah, provider, yeah, the sole provider. I think a lot of that is because I think maybe men are still taught, whether by their parents or like
just get
other
a
people.
Roomba. No need to vacuum.
But Roombas are expensive. I think times have changed, and although times have changed, the ideals have not changed. So there will be people who preach like, oh, men should be the sole providers. But I think that things are different now. But I do think that with that mindset where you think, oh, I have to be the sole provider, it probably is awful being in the position that you're not the sole provider, because you constantly have that nagging in the back of your head that, oh, I'm not enough because I should be the sole provider. But I don't think that's the case anymore. I genuinely think that things have changed so much where it's just not like that, you know? Yeah. Like, my parents had the same thing, chat. My parents had the same thing where my dad was the sole provider until he had like a really serious incident and he could no longer be the sole provider. And it was also really, really difficult for him as well, adjusting to like trying to change his train of thought. Even though my mom had no problem and she would reassure him like, it's okay, things happen. It was still really difficult for him because to him, like, he felt less of a man because he was no longer being the sole provider. And I think that's that's a toxic mindset that should not be taught any longer. Yeah. Pride. Pride is one of the 7 deadly sins.
Day, and inequality becoming rampant within society, most men are just deciding to give up, because instead of facing the hardships of having a job, it just seems so much easier to escape, whether it be tamely being online, playing video games all day, or hiding behind doing chores at home to show they still have a purpose and are doing their best. The point being that for many men in 2024, if they're gonna be disrespected and feel worthless, they may as well choose the easy way out than a battle. If respect had a currency on how it would affect your life directly, you would see a different picture. A man with a job with high pressure, long hours, and doing something that makes him feel degraded would be worth say $100, but staying at home playing games and escaping, all while being with the people he loves, is probably worth $200 because of how it affects him. This explains why more and more men are deciding to drop out of society rather than face it head on, as it just seems to be the easier path. If it's a choice between two paths, one that offers little satisfaction while the other provides comfort, it's easy to see why men are going this route. But the thing is, this is a terrible mistake. And this is creating problems that we've never seen before. If there is no emphasis or any facilitation of the need to aspire to something greater and the game seems rigged to most who are playing it, it's hardly a surprise record numbers of men are dropping out and giving up on the game entirely.
Can I say something? I do also think that it's really, really easy to get lost in the escapism that is video games as well. I notice that every time I go through my phase of being like playing Overwatch a lot, I too sort of drop out of society where I don't go outside anymore. I don't even go outside much in the first place, but like it becomes even less, and I stop taking care of myself. I do think that sometimes escaping through video games can become like a bit of an addiction, and it hinders progress. But also it's difficult to get yourself out of that mindset. Maybe if I had testosterone pills, you know? If only.
The problem is that there's a huge group of men, roughly about 7 million in America between the ages of 25 and 55, who are not working and are actively not looking for work.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's all about balance at the end of the day, right? It's about balance. If video games and like watching streamers is what makes you happy, it's important to nurture that, because you don't want to give up on your happiness. But it's also, if you're also using that as sort of like an escape, then maybe it's time to tune in and, think about, what are you escaping from? Like, what's the problem? And how can you fix that?
I have yet to meet a single guy in real life who would rather play games than have a fun social interaction.
Really? Yeah, I know I'm not a guy, but I would rather stream and play games than have social interaction. But that's not healthy. It's not healthy, and I know that it's not healthy. But oh goodness, yeah. As long as you take that testosterone, though, I'm gonna keep going back to that stupid testosterone ad. I just cannot believe he included it. He's like, listen here, men are giving up and nobody cares, but also like, here's something that could help you in the middle of the video, and it's testosterone pills. So weird. Doesn't sit right with me, that stupid ad.
Now, COVID certainly had a hand in accelerating these figures. One question posed to these dropouts was how many of these men were on pain medication, and almost half of these men admitted to taking pain medication daily. And aside from those who desperately need it,
recently I'm going through the phase where I'm like, I'm a burden. Nobody likes me. I'm a burden. I'm not funny. I have nothing good to say. Why should I interact with anyone? Like, people are forced to interact with me, so I'll just not talk to anyone. I'm going through that. I'm in that phase right now where I'm just like, people don't really want to be my friend. They're just doing charity work. I know. Shush. It's a mindset, right? It's a mindset. It's you just kind of get stuck in that mindset, and you have to try to pull yourself out of it, but it's easier said than done. Yeah, maybe I should take those testosterone pills, man. It seems like that would be the cure.
These figures could indicate that men are aimlessly numbing themselves to their new reality. And this is great for society, as people don't have to deal with this huge problem. And what's even more shocking is that 40% of these men do have some kind of degree.
What sort of men are in this group?
I cannot take whoever this is seriously. Chris Williamson. Why does he look so AI? I cannot get over it. He looks so AI. It baffles me.
The education, family structure, ethnicity. Who
Maybe
makes
it's
up
the
this
lack
group?
of emotion in his face.
Surprisingly large
He's AI.
representation of guys with college or even college degrees. 40% of this group has at least some college, and as I recall, about a fifth or a sixth are college grads.
The decision to be in this state is closely related to changing times. We've already discussed the effects of brain rot in another upload, which disabled problem solving in Generation Z and has already presented problems in finding jobs. They are quick to quit at the first difficult task and move on to find something else, but what happens when options run dry and they find themselves simply stuck in limbo? Giving up seems to be the next step, and accepting that is easy when they're discouraged by the situation. Working off of surveys, the data compiled indicates that these men are not only not working, but they're cutting themselves off from their communities, or there's no incentivization for them to even have any community in the first place. They're hiding out because going out would mean meeting new people who might oppose their lifestyles. It makes it uncomfortable. Why leave when you can just...
I feel the same. I know I'm not a man, but I hope it's okay for me to relate, because I feel the same. It is, being a streamer, it is hard to just go and when everyone around you is just like, yeah, I'm doing this thing and that thing. What do you do? And I'm just like, I stream. Yeah, I can get it.
Aimlessly watch brain rot content
I'm one of the bros.
Pain medication and stay inside in the warm comfort of
I'm an honorary
Any sexual
man.
needs you have can be satisfied with pixels on a screen.
You do not have to keep grinding without pause. But if a path into a brig the future opens, you will probably not see it when you stop looking.
That's true. We can all hope for the brig their future. Why everyone is typoing and Brian? It must be something in the air. The brig their future. Yeah. But yeah. Sometimes you lose interest, yeah. Sometimes you have nothing to be interested in at all. I totally get that, because sometimes I'm also like, what's the point? What's the point? You kind of doom. I'm like, man, I have nothing. I have nothing. Ooh, what's the point? But then I see you guys. I'm like, yeah. They're my motivation.
Lifestyle is increasingly becoming more and more normal for men in the West. But what's important to note is that men don't want to be this way. It's a horrible lifestyle, it's depressing, it's atomizing. What this really is just a coping mechanism or a form of self-defense against a society that's becoming increasingly hostile to these men. Up until recently, the problem has been invisible. These figures weren't shown in any statistics or surveys because they slipped through the cracks until very recently. So why did they slip through the cracks? Well, it's easy to see. They simply don't fit the victim criteria. Some have degrees, they're in the prime of their lives, and it was their choice to quit. It's easily overlooked and only comes to light as the numbers rise. Nicholas Upstart wrote a book called Men Without Work, and has since exposed and addressed the problems in his book. He says he is trained to look for hidden in plain sight problems, which is how he stumbled upon this issue. You see, these men are not causing trouble, at least for now, and they don't seem to be drawing any attention to themselves. On the contrary, they keep to themselves. So surveys and statistics just don't include them at all. They don't even register on the scale, and people in society think this is a joke issue. And it's also reasonable to conclude that some of these men may work, but in the
when not even the survey wants to acknowledge you. Oof. It's literally me. It's me too, chat. Literally me as well. Bruh. It's so over for us, guys. Luckily, we have those testosterone pills.
Underground economy, work like formal cash jobs, or even shady legal ways of making money. But of course, this is just a minor portion of these men. We need to address the problem head on. How is the situation getting this bad? These men have completely lost their purpose in life. All of their duty, their hopes, their responsibilities, their own dignity and value. It's being completely decimated at the moment. And we're seeing this with the form of radicalization online, growing hatred and division, and a general apathy towards society as a whole. And the longer this is ignored, the harder it's going to be addressed down the line. More men today than ever feel disconnected, disillusioned, and left behind by a world that seems increasingly indifferent to their struggles. While GDP numbers and employment stats may sound like an easy, good solution on paper, especially to government bureaucracies, it will never really fix the reality of the situation for normal people. The real challenge we face today in the West is to find purpose and meaning again, to have any reason to even want to participate and achieve greatness in society. We should focus on creating environments where people can thrive, where beauty, philosophy, and higher noble pursuits are actively encouraged by the cities and countries that we inhabit, which would give millions of men a reason to care again.
That's it?